Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of The Letter. We had a horrible, horrible ending with Marianne, and then, instead, we had a just one horrible ending with Marianne. Oh boy, well, now we're Becca after school, so things are looking up? Anyway, even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughter. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsing band, a band that is rehearsing, not one that the job is rehearsing, drifts freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day I'd stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I could shake off this niggling feeling. For one reason or another, that single call, of all possible things, has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. When I look down... What? Is this like a K-12 school or something? Because she said she teaches teenagers. What is Kylie even doing here? When I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stares back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention, a grin spreads over her face.
Buenas tardes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink.
She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today, if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Interesting. We still haven't actually met her brother, so who knows what's going on.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both her hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Oh? So that's why Hannah mentioned Kylie then. In case you didn't know, Tio is uncle.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Huh. Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Suarez kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Right? Yes? At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh, oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
I can't look at a picture for like a second. I mean, I know we're in a hurry, but like, Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. Well, if I have time to do this, then I could glance at her drawing. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before it's even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too! Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile, even when things have taken a turn for the worse. And seriously, this conversation is taking longer than glancing at the drawing would have been. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person. But when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter, or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down.
Oh, that,
falling
okay.
down,
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and an extra spring in her step, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age, as much spirit as only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind a door, leaving behind strains of an old, familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same could be said of myself and my own worries. Luxburn may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief, considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either the reception's really bad over there, which it is, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both do nothing to ease the disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxburn, the estate and the nearby Anselm village stand as its complete opposite, living and breathing the songs of the old, whispers of a once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. You know, I don't know if have we seen this? I know Becca's at the party, but this isn't the party. Most of the guests are already heading out. Though some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of that familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I could certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big? I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost, or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture, familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I could still try contacting Miss Cooper. Interesting how people put information into their phone. Like, a lot of times it's the first name, or Miss Cooper. Becca goes with the full name. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the county has never been popular with the tech-savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. At the 4th one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up. the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to them. I don't get to stray far into that ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and...
Isabella is not here right now. You could barely hear it.
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cry of a woman. Remain. The faint cries. Pick one. But from beyond the foyer. My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one here hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out, making grudge noises for no reason. But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello?
Well, I know we attend the party, so whatever we get here, we're gonna survive.
Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious, towards a door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives in to fear of stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I had earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens. Now let me think about this. No, Becca did see the letter at the movie. But then again, if Isabella had the accident, this is before the movie, isn't it? Does the letter matter at all, or is this ghost just trolling whoever it pleases?
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. Then, with a caution, I reach for the knob, which will probably open with Isabella or Rose on the other side. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder! Old-timey jump scare! This is how... It just pisses me off when people do this. Like, they don't say hello from a distance. They, like, tiptoe up to you and grab your shoulder like an asshole.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Well, it said excuse me. I didn't think they'd have more to say out loud.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
If you didn't mean to startle me, then you would say something before grabbing my shoulder. Nobody does that.
No, it's...
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss... Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Oh, Hannah. Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face, the salesman smile. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings? And another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible.
It's the ghost that's also in the group.
Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment. A fleeting shift of my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
Well, every day is 2 words, but okay. And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
Wait, there's no way he just said it right in front of her? There's no way. Does Hannah know about this somehow? That doesn't even make sense.
Aren't you, Marianne?
Did that happen in the previous thing? In front of everybody?
You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we?
I can easily see Luke doing this, but right in front of his wife, though? Really?
In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming. Hovering over his shoulders. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Because I was going to say, I don't remember this, and this wouldn't make any sense. Drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark blur. No. A shadow. You kind of can see it, actually.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, your liver.
Huh. I gotta remember this. Did he really say mint in the original conversation? Because I think I remember the conversation about the liver, but like, really?
You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well.
And it sounds like they're coming in a little muffled, doesn't it?
How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
They're definitely getting muffled. But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me. Crawling under my skin, these wounds will not heal, and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is. Okay, so that was supposed to happen. All except for the whispers and laughters. Laughters. Judging. Mocking. Taunting. Muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds, tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes. Until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade and my eyes snap open. When I look to them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling. Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds. Only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries, as Miss Cooper leads them out the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to... Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was, and still am, a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, it did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but... I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics.
Yeah, I love it. They keep talking about this crazy weather, which is just a sunny day. That just amuses me. I mean, I'd probably love this weather, and I didn't grow up in the friggin' tropics.
Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. Okay, we're done. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes. So, shorter than the actual trip there, I think. And my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabella's no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Ah, what a pain. Or at least it's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxburn she frequents, and, well, she's never been the complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. What is it, the pub? Still, it's odd she left on her own. I kind of forgot where she went on this one. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
Get out of the way, you punk! In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back down downtown Luxburn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. I'd rather not think about for it now? Come on, come on. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. Yeah, the crowd in the front when Isabella's gonna get spooked by the... what was it, the shop window? As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to their little group. They keep doing this. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I could stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands. I hold her face with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you alright? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked her on her then, she probably would have died in her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teach you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and, gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch about how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself. Even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing, like none of us can be bothered to act like the full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Earlier.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand stills midair as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. Among the four of us! He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Yeah, we know about this. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface, even though she still shoots out a little bit of like, oh, you would, or something like that, or it's like, it's always like this, or something like that. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking them away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yeah, there we go. That attitude. Yet try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. Like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing. I mean, at this point, why should he be aware that you're into him? It's been 17 years and you haven't said anything. Like, if he doesn't notice, then he's a freaking dink, but at the same time, where were you on this one, you know? Like, somebody's got to do something. And Ash doesn't appear to be aware, which is amazing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking, like he often tells me. Or maybe there really is something there. I mean, he teases her, I guess. That's all I've seen. I mean, we'll only find out when we go into his head, I guess. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. That does make sense, but I really didn't expect the double negative from a school teacher. It didn't teach me nothing. For whose sake is it this time, though? For whose sake it is? Come on, you're killing me with this. For him? For Zachary? It should be for his, for Zachary's, for hers, or for mine. That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens, then snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond. Not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Oh, that was the line.
Did you say something? Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know this is merely a preamble. Oh boy! It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens? Crivens? Is this like a Scottish expression? Even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me the time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own patience, I know, but has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off. But we ultimately do go seeing the movie based on my decision earlier, right? Slams the door right on our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own. Oh yeah, they said that almost never happens, so it shocked the whole group into silence.
Guys!
a warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look to him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. No need for the hyphen. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true. They only... Alright.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks, always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
And that was my player choice from Chapter 1. Her lips are curled up in a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no other choice, when she knows or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Ash is over 26, yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
That slide. But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
What an ass.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle, despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll... Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. Yeah, because we just lowered our relationship with Isabella based on that decision, so we're a little pissed off right now. That's interesting. So this whole scenario could have played out differently if I'd chosen something different in the first or second installment of this playthrough. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because, like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way to night when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy. Too loud. Too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah, see ya!
Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary give us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Yeah, they were chatting it up.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Jeez, what an ass. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing, I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she could be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
Well, yeah, all the more reason we don't have to suddenly go to bed for work tomorrow, you know?
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Yeah, if we complained about the traffic back home, then this would be less in comparison, wouldn't it?
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows, and it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car, and my grip on the handle tightens. I could feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Honestly, though, this doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal. I don't know how into Ash she is, even if we think Ash may be into her. And again, 17 damn years? Like, get the hell out of here. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute. Preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tried for so long. White lie.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
Lower for Ashton, up for Isabella. Ashton's below the line, though, now. Ooh.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella.
Yeah?
A pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. I mean, it would have been worse if we said, I don't want to talk, right? A relief enough for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so.
Ugh, but we are below the line with Ash, though. That does concern me, because Becca's story seems to revolve around him.
I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. Yeah, I do feel bad about that. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. That's what I was thinking, but I hope this doesn't bite me later. I could find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. And, for now, it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We caught up to an important part of where we were in Isabella's chapter way back earlier in the Let's Play, only this time we got Becca's perspective on it. But a lot of this was just awkward and unpleasant interactions. Again, I really hope that the decision we made won't bite us later because we're telling white lies and possibly irritating somebody else. I want to at least be above the white line with every character here, and we barely made it with Isabella and we put ourselves below Ashton. But if I'd gone the other way, it probably would have been the other way around. Maybe we'll find a way to make this up to somebody later. Let's hope. Until next time, everyone.